Had all the introductions, we've had all the pomp and circumstance, we've had all the fuss and feathers, but it's time for Dodger baseball.
What's up, Dodger fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to the Incline Dodgers podcast presented by BLEAV, Fanduel, and TickPick. Kevin Klein in the house, joined by Ryan Garcia tonight. We've got a lot of various Dodgers and MLB topics that we've got planned to cover. And spring training is just around the corner. The first game is on Saturday, so we'll finally have some games to talk about, whether they actually count or not. Who cares? It's baseball. But Ryan, how you doing? What's been going on?
Hey, how about that new video intro, though? First of all, I'm kind of psyched up between that and the game just around the corner on Saturday. I'm going to go throw the baseball around right now, I feel like. Very nicely done, Kevin. Appreciate that. And to use spring training parlance, I feel like I got the non-roster invite here, so I want to take a few good swings tonight and hopefully impress and stick around.
Yeah, let us know on the YouTube chat if you guys enjoyed the video. That was our debut of that tonight, so it was long overdue, but thank you, David Portillo, who helped get that set up. But yeah, if you're new to the show, make sure to hit that like button as well as hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts, as well as you can send us questions and we'll take your questions along the way. But yeah, there's so much to talk about. Let's just start with some basic spring training storylines to get warmed up, and then we'll really get into things. So Dave Roberts said that Yoshinobu Yamamoto is expected to pitch in one of the first two games to open up spring training, which makes sense. It's to get him in shape for the World Baseball Classic. Shohei Ohtani is not expected to pitch, first of all, in the World Baseball Classic period. We know that. He might not pitch at all during spring training. Do you think that's an issue, Ryan?
I mean, for most guys, yeah, but we're talking about Shohei Ohtani here, and every time somebody, doubts him or doubts something else, we're just amazed by the prep he does and how he's always ready. So it's probably much ado about nothing right now. They're going to be careful with him, obviously, and there without having him ramped up properly. So in the big picture, I don't think it's an issue. Maybe it means we don't see him in initially in that first series at all, just as he continues to kind of. But again, I don't think it's going to be a major thing.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It feels like Ohtani can just get out of bed and start pitching, and that's exactly what happened last season. He didn't have to have any rehab games. He just basically did his pitch cycle on the side while batting in the lineup every day, and then they slowly worked up his pitch count with every start. And I kind of expect the same going into this season, but maybe a little bit more aggressively. The one inning thing, I don't think they're going to go that route this season. Maybe he goes 3 or 4 innings to start the season. But it was quoted, I believe, from Dave Roberts, as well as just Ohtani's motivation in general, that he's gunning for a Cy Young award. And honestly, I might be in the minority here, but if there's anybody that can overcome the odds, it's Shohei Ohtani. And I truly do believe that if he does want to put his emphasis on pitching, and if healthy, no doubt, he's got the talent to be a Cy Young caliber pitcher.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's going to work against him is just that the Dodgers are playing for October, right? And so I think to be a Cy Young in that Cy Young contention, he's going to need 28 to 30 starts, and I don't know if he's going to get them due to the 6-man rotation, due to the Dodgers just kind of playing it, careful. But we'll see. Amazing in 25 starts and make me shut up. So you never know with Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I think there's always exceptions to kind of the rules, and Ohtani could definitely defy those odds. What he would have to do, though, is probably lead baseball in K through 9 as a starter. On top of that, probably would have to have the best ERA, best FIP, and just some other, strong indicators that showcase him as a top tier starter. Because he's not going to have the starter. He's not going to have the starter's innings workload. He's not going to probably even qualify for the Triple Crown just based off some of the things you pointed out, such as the 6-man rotation, as well as just them limiting his innings. But I mean, if he can go 25 to 28 starts, maybe pitch somewhere in the ballpark of 140-ish innings and check all those boxes I just pointed out to, then there's definitely a conversation to be had. But there's going to have to be some luck that goes in his way as well, such as Paul Skeens doesn't have a great season, or, some of the other true contenders, they just have down years, or maybe they spend a little bit of time on the IL, and, it's baseball. Those things can happen. But it's obviously it's not a lock or a slam dunk, but I think a lot would have to go right in Ohtani's favor for him to win the Cy Young, but I wouldn't rule it out completely. I also wanted to talk about the batting order, which was also discussed today by Dave Roberts. So he already confirmed Shohei Ohtani is leading off. No surprise there. The more shocking part, though, is that Dave Roberts is now moving Mookie Betts to the 3 hole, which kind of threw me off a little bit because I thought Mookie Betts was probably going to hit second again this season to at least start the year. And now he's a little undecided if Kyle Tucker will be batting second or cleanup. Any concerns or thoughts on Betts batting third or Kyle Tucker potentially batting fourth?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I thought it's weird that now they're considering doing this, because now, if more than ever, it seems like it kind of lined up nicely for them to do the left right thing. But obviously, if Mookie bats third, that's not going to happen. You're going to have either 2 lefties. You're probably going to have 2 lefties in front of him. I don't know. I mean, the order thing's a little overblown. It does impact, I think, the bottom of the lineup and who bats ninth, because you definitely don't want a lefty down there, like, say, Kim batting ninth, and then you've got 3 lefties stacked. So it has some implications, I think, for other parts of the order. But what I'm more interested in is Mookie Betts himself. And I was going to say later on, when we get into another conversation, that Mookie Betts is probably going to be my most watched storyline this year for me, just because of the potential impact he has. And is he going to be the Mookie Betts that we've all known throughout his career as a Dodger, or is he going to be the Mookie Betts he was last year? I'm not sure. So that's going to determine a lot of it too, how he comes out of the gate, I think.
I'll just say that if they bat Kyle Tucker fourth, that'll be a huge mistake, because you're not maximizing Kyle Tucker's true full ability, in my opinion. I mean, this guy should be statistically the second best hitter in the Dodgers lineup going into 2026. They paid him $60 million a year, and to have both, I think, Betts and Freeman in front of Kyle Tucker, it's just a waste of optimizing the true lineup. Like, I want Kyle Tucker batting right behind Shohei Ohtani. I mean, Ohtani is fast, so it makes sense to have him at the leadoff. Mookie Betts is no longer a fast player. It's been diminishing speed for the last few years now. I mean, Betts probably should be hitting 5th or 6th, if we're being quite honest. I think 3rd is a little generous as well, especially if he's not the power bat that he once was. But I'll give him the season to work it out a little bit first before just throwing him under the bus like that. But I'll be quite upset, honestly, if Kyle Tucker is not hitting second for the Dodgers. I mean, he's an on-base machine historically. Last 3 years, it was 369, 408, and then 377 in this most recent season for the Cubs. Like, honestly, if I had my way, it would probably be Ohtani, Tucker, and then Freeman as my 1, 2, 3. But I can see the hesitation that the Dodgers don't want to go left right out of the gate.
Yeah, I agree. I think the quality in spring training will tell us a little bit more too. I think let's see if the power is there for Mookie Betts. Let's see if the contact is there, just to see if he looks good and not zapped. And I think, if I remember correctly, towards the end of the season, I think the last month or so, he did start to kind of pick it up, right? And his stats started to kind of come back to in line to the Mookie that we all. So hopefully he's that guy, right? And it works itself out. There's no debate about that in my mind. Tucker's got to be too. It does raise the question then: are we good with Freeman at 4? And I think so. Bat to ball ability with runners on in the 4.
So the game disparity is definitely a thing. 271 games batting second versus 66 games batting third. But the batting average does drop from 278 down to 267 when Betts is hitting third. But the OPS is about the same, 802 to 801. So it doesn't seem like there's a big drop off when Betts goes from batting second to batting first. And I know that part of this also has to just do with his age. So it's not really metrics or numbers or statistics to put too much weight into. But I will say, even though you pointed out Mookie Betts did have a hot streak near the end of the season, that kind of felt like a fake hot stretch to me. He was just beating up on the Colorado Rockies, because when the playoffs rolled around, he was useless against the Phillies. He did nothing against the Brewers. And he had one big hit in the Blue Jays 7-game series.
Yeah. I mean, well, a lot of the lineup was pretty useless once we hit the Phillies, right? I don't know. Again, super interested in watching who he is this year, right? And to me, the debate last year was, well, some people attributed it to the move to shortstop. We know Mookie Betts himself came out and he talked about how physically demanding that position was and how much it requires mentally and physically from him. Other people attributed it to the huge weight loss due to the sickness at the start of the season. And I don't think either side could confidently say like they were right. And, we don't know. We just don't know what it was. It might have been both. It might have been one. It might have been the other. But I don't think anybody really knows what it was. Whatever it is, it's washed. That was last year. It's a new season. Let's see who he is this season. Let's just see how he comes out and what he looks like.
Definitely. In other big news going around Major League Baseball, so within the last 36 hours, give or take, Tony Clark resigned as the head person of the MLB Players Committee for reasons that he's probably not very proud of. He had an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, who was also employed by the union. So he stepped down, and they got their shit together and unanimously elected Bruce Meyer, who I'm not too familiar with, but he now takes over as the executive director of the Major League Baseball Player Association. I was listening to Jeff Passan, who was on the Rich Eisen show earlier today or yesterday afternoon, and Eisen asked him about, does he believe a lockout will happen? And not the news baseball fans want to hear, but he does believe a lockout will happen when the CBA expires on December 1st. Also, Jesse Rogers got a quote from the now elected Bruce Meyer. He also seems to express a lot of doubt that they'll avoid a lockout. So with this, I know we've got a lot of time until this actually passes, or we have to worry about it a little bit, 9+ months away. But do you start to get a gut feeling that we are heading towards a lockout?
It would be an incredibly stupid outcome, wouldn't it? I mean, baseball is healthier than it's ever been in terms of viewership, in terms of fans, in terms of what Ohtani has done for the game. And I'm not saying that as a Dodgers homer. I'm saying that as just an objective baseball fan. You have people who weren't watching baseball watching it now. You have, my mom could care less. She watches it now because of this Ohtani guy, she says. What a just a terrible outcome. And it feels a lot like that strike of so many years ago that just killed baseball, eventually leading to the McGuire Sosa saving of baseball, if you will, with the home run battles in the subsequent years. I mean, the early indications are this guy, Tony Clark, is kind of a hardliner, and we all know this. The players are going to vote for a cap. They're not going to compromise. They're not going to vote for a cap. We've seen comments from Manny Machado, of all people. We've seen comments from Bryce Harper, who are all essentially saying, like, we love what the Dodgers are doing. Like, if you want to win, this is how you go out and you do it, right? There is no indication from any player that status quo, and why would they do anything to hurt their market value, right? Like, that's just, with that in mind, yeah, they're not going to budge. So unfortunately, maybe there is going to be some kind of temporary lockout. I don't know if it's going to bleed into the actual, season proper, or if it's going to be, maybe an extra week or two, but something's probably going to happen in as they kind of play hardball back and forth, no pun intended. But the players aren't going to accept a salary cap. That's just not going to happen.
I agree with that. It would be pretty surprising if they caved in and went with the salary cap. I just think that's a bluff from the owners. I think they're trying to enforce the fake want for a salary cap so that the player side has to cave in to maybe a couple other demands that we're just not completely aware about just yet. And I have a feeling that this is just leverage at the end of the day, because neither party wants to be viewed as the loser. And so in order to get what you want, you have to also give up something that you want. So I'm sure we'll have more details of what both sides are trying to negotiate when push comes to shove. But for now, it's more just noise to me, and just try to block it out and enjoy this 2026 season that's coming ahead. And the Dodgers, they're just trying to focus on three-peating. But
yeah, it's like Dave Roberts told them, right, in that first team meeting, put the blinders on, look straight ahead, and just stay obsessed with winning, and don't worry about anything else. The other stuff's just noise.
Exactly. So we'll continue to cover this as more news breaks, but let's move into something you wanted to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Andy Pages, the curious case of Andy Pages. And I say that because when the season started, who would have thought that what would ultimately wind up keeping Andy Pages around would be his defense? If you recall, when he first came up, Dodger fans were vehemently calling for him to be sent back down because he looked like just a disaster in center field. He was misreading baseballs. They were like, you got to send this guy back down. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. They were questioning his intelligence. And it was his bat that was keeping him around. Well, fast forward to the end of the season, and, we started to see a taper in the offense the last maybe month or so. Then we get to the playoffs, and I think he hits under 100 batting average for the entire playoffs. He is just MIA all the way. But it's the defense that wound up keeping him around, and ultimately, can be credited for a World Series for the Dodgers when he made that catch, right? So it kind of flipped on itself, what Andy Pages was all about. And I was looking at his defensive kind of metrics, right? 97th percentile in outs above average. There's another metric called fielding run value. That's basically just a metric that shows how many runs a player adds or subtracts from his team. Andy Pages was 95th percentile with 12 runs saved last year. Arm strength, 98th percentile. We all know this, right? So he's just, his Savant page lit up red on defense. But you get to the offense, not so good, Kevin. He is 24th percentile in hard hit, which is low. He is 6th percentile in walks. We all know he's allergic to walks, really low. Batting chase rate. His expected batting average was 258. Ultimately he had 272, which means he probably got a little lucky. So might not be as good as we thought. So I started looking at all this stuff. I started getting a little bit depressed, thinking like, man, what Andy Pages is going to anchor that bottom third of the lineup this year. We can't have another hole in there. Give me something to believe in here going into the next season. So I did a little more digging. I went over to the Rates and Barrels podcast. And for those who don't know, that's the podcast with Eno Saris and Derek Van Riper. Eno Saris is a huge sabermetrics guy. He was the inventor, the creator of Stuff Plus. really analytical approach to players. I look to what he has to say about guys to just get kind of an objective perspective, because he's not a Dodgers fan, right? He's just analyzing these guys. And here's some reason to be optimistic. He looked at Andy Pages and he said Andy Pages has a history of adjustability, and I thought really interesting, because everything I saw were fans kind of questioning his intelligence and how dumb is this guy for swinging at a ball in the dirt or not knowing when to lay off. But he said he doesn't really see a hole in Andy Pages' game, and he explained it by saying in 2024, Andy Pages just feasted off of four-seamers down and in. Okay, so they stopped throwing those down and in, and they started giving him four-seamers high in the zone. Well, guess what? He adjusted and he started killing fastballs. Okay, well, the second half rolls around, and as we know, the league adjusts. Well, they just stopped throwing him four-seamers. Okay, they just stopped throwing him four-seamers, and that's kind of what caused the slide. So now the question is, can he once again adapt to the league, adapt back and adjust balls, more off-speed pitches? And the conclusion they came away with was, yeah, because that's all he has done is adjust and adapt. And I kind of tend to agree. Analysis, but off of what we've seen too, his tail off and became a very solid center fielder. One more positive note: 24 of his 27 home runs last year. There's no reason he's not a platoon guy. He can hit righties. 14 against fastballs, 10 against breaking balls. He just has to get used to seeing fewer fastballs, right? He's not going to get as many meatballs because now they know. No hot takes about Andy Pages, just an open discussion. Second most interesting storyline that I'm going to be watching. Number one, again, is who we see at the bottom of the lineup. If Andy Pages is going to continue to mature and kind of elevate his game, or if we're going to see a regression. Kevin, on Andy Pages.
I'm not too worried about Andy Pages heading into the upcoming season. I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at Andy Pages versus the rest of the league, he will probably be one of the top 3 8 or 9 hole hitters in all of baseball. I like to use the Bat X, which is a model made by Derek Carty. And he probably touts that, the Bat X has been the most accurate stats predictor for like the last 6 years or so. I'm looking at his projections for Pages, and they're not too bad. I mean, 22 home runs, 76 RBIs, 108 WRC plus, walk rate up a little bit as well. So, I mean, if Pages can hit all those milestones, which I think he's going to hit in the low 20s for home runs, and if he can drive in 70 plus RBIs, I'll be happy with that. So I'm really not worried. I think the playoff struggles will be a thing in the past, and for him, it's about hitting better on the road. In my opinion, he was absolutely terrible away from Dodger Stadium. You look at his home road splits, you would think that this guy played for the Colorado Rockies or something, because I have to double check what the stats were, but I'm pretty sure at Dodger Stadium, his OPS was like in the 900s. So
yeah, his projections, I mean, and not just that one model, but different projections all over still have him anywhere from 22 to 27 home runs, anywhere from 250, 267, 269. If you can get that production out of the bottom of the lineup, fantastic. Again, I think that'll be so incredibly huge to this team, to get kind of that production on the periphery from the guys maybe you're not necessarily always expecting it from. I just don't want to play with short an outfielder again like we did last year all season. And I don't think we will, but I thought it was really interesting, just kind of journey he took from no defense, all bat, to the opposite at the end of the season, and now we'll try to even it out going into 2026.
Yeah, so to confirm my point I was trying to make, at home, 963 OPS, 19 home runs, away 8 home runs, 593 OPS. So this is something I kind of talked about a year ago when it came, or 2 years ago now, I guess at this point, when Pages was adjusting to playing center field. He just needed to get comfortable in every ballpark. And then I said the next season, which was 2025, he'll get the center field position down, which happened. Now I think for Paz, it's getting more comfortable hitting in opposing ballparks, which I think now that he's kind of gotten to see the other ballparks a little bit, especially in the division, he'll start to hit better on the road. I have full confidence that Paz is going to be a more complete player heading into 2026. And I think he's going to smash all those projections pretty easily. At the end of the day, he's their center fielder. They're going to need him because they don't really have that many options in center field anymore. You can't put Teo out there. You can't put Tucker out there. You don't really want Alex Call out there. His son Kim's going to play some center, but you don't really want him in center a lot either. So they're going to ride Pages hard this season. And I wouldn't be surprised if he led the team in games played for an everyday on the field player.
Yeah, I think he was second on the team in home runs, right? Last year, surprisingly. And he's only 25 years old, still a young guy, still opted out of the WBC so he could stay with the Dodgers and work. I think he understands that he is that center field ion, and he's trying to answer the call.
Definitely. The Dodgers continue to make moves. They've been pretty active over the last week or so. They added on a minor league invite Santiago Espinal, he's a versatile infielder. He actually was an all-star for the Toronto Blue Jays in 2022. Not a very good all-star. I mean, he had a 692 OPS, so I don't really know how he made the all-star team that year. But last season for Cincinnati had a negative 1.4 WAR, so a pretty bad season. Hit 243 with 0 home runs. Obviously, the Dodgers are just taking a flyer on this guy. I don't really have high expectations for Espinal, but he might be another one of those David Bodie type guys where you hope he gets hot in spring and he accepts an invite to Oklahoma City, but at 31, I don't really know what's really left in the tank for this guy, but worth noting, more infield depth.
Yeah, I'm unmoved. We'll see what happens. I don't see him sniffing the roster, but we'll see.
Didn't get to talk about it last time because the news broke the day after, but Kiké Hernandez is officially back. I don't need to go into too much detail because we've talked about him a lot, but obviously a signing that needed to happen. Kiké just gets it done in October. I don't really understand how there's still Dodger fans out there that didn't want Kiké Hernandez to return. Like, the Dodgers aren't signing Kiké Hernandez for the regular season. Like, we know he's a mediocre player. Like, they're not relying on Kiké to really do anything during the regular season. But this guy, as soon as the calendar changed season in 2025, he was the guy that knocked Christopher Sanchez out in game 1 of the NLDS with a 2-run base hit. That set it up later on for Teoscar Hernandez to hit that huge home run off Matt Strom. Kiké also had a big knock in game 2. Later on in the World Series, he made that brilliant defensive play in left field where he helped with the double play. So the stats just don't matter with Kiké at the end of the day. When it's his time to be called upon in October, he usually delivers, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and don't forget, too, he's the guy that Miguel Rojas credits for keeping his head straight in the middle, down, and thinking that he could be potentially the next person. Austin Barnes, all out Chris Taylor. And Kiké basically told him, get your head on, and you're a leader. Go out there and be a leader. And look what happened, right? So, I mean, Kiké's impact is all over the place, right? Vibes guy. He's a vibes guy, but he's got a clutch gene. And yeah, it was, to me, we weren't signing him. I mean, he never stopped acting like he was on the team anyway. So, be a Dodger.
Yeah. And then last note before we switch gears here, Ben Rortvedt was picked up by the New York Mets. So end of an era again. Got DFA'd twice this offseason. Not too surprised that a team was going to take a shot on Ben Rortvedt once the 60-day IL opened up. So thank you for everything thank you, Ben, for everything you did in 2025. Maybe we'll get you a third time later on, but it was nice knowing you. So we're going to talk about the World Baseball Classic, but before we do that, quick shout out to our sponsors at Fanduel. Wanted to point out right now over on the Fanduel Sportsbook, Team USA is the favorite to win the World Baseball Classic at a -115. So they're pretty heavy favorites. Japan has the second best odds, a +410, and the Dominican Republic +460. Early hot take here. If I was to pick a non-USA team to win, I probably would favor the Dominican Republic over Team Japan right now. But we'll elaborate all of that in just a few moments as we start to preview the World Baseball Classic. But there's a lot of exciting bets right now going on FanDuel involving the World Baseball Classic, and we'll talk about more of those later on. But excited for this tournament to get started. I know we're still a few weeks away, but what are your early thoughts, Ryan, on the WBC?
Yeah, I'm pumped. I have my jersey ready. I have my hat ready. I'm going to Houston on March the 7th. They're going to see Italy and Brazil in the day game. And then that night, the USA takes on Great Britain. So looking forward to that. I guess just to catch our fans up, a little bit about the format in case they don't know. So it all starts on March the 5th and the 6th. And basically there are 4 pools of teams. And the pools are going to play at 4 different locations: in the Tokyo Dome, in Puerto Rico, in Houston, and in Florida. And so each pool has 5 teams, and the top 2 teams from each pool advance to the quarterfinals. Then the winner of the quarterfinals go to Miami, and they play for the semis and the championship in Miami. So that's a little bit of the breakdown. I was going to tell everybody listening, if you want to know more about it, just Google all you need to know about the World Baseball Classic 2026. It's a great site that comes up. More details. Some of the other kind of notes I took interest in was no ABS. There's a mercy rule in the WBC, so that should be interesting. But there's also a lot of rules around pitching that obviously are put there to protect pitchers who are not ramped up fully or who are pitching this early in the season. Of a couple of them, pitchers cannot throw more than a single game by rule. That's in the first round, 80 pitches in the quarterfinals, and the championship round. So kind of they take the reins off, and then pretty restrictive. Pitchers who throw 50 or more pitches in a rest for a minimum of 4 days before they can be used again, or 1 day of rest. And pitchers who throw on consecutive days are all for pitching again. So there's some rules in place to sort of protect, especially relief pitchers who you might just go out there and use day after day, obviously. But just some kind of interesting rules aren't necessarily in place in MLB. But looking super forward to it. Kevin, I printed out the roster. Let me just read some of Blake's roster. Stop me if you've heard any of them. Junior Caminero, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Manny, Ketel Marte, Jeremy Pena, our good friend Ahmed Rosario, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, Sanchez is pitching, along with Dennis Santana, Sandy Alcantara. That's a loaded friggin' team, Kevin. I'm going to be rooting hard for the U.S., but that Dominican team, the cover off the ball.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty good. Also worth noting, this will be the debut of the pitch clock in the WBC. Even though they incorporated the pitch clock into Major League Baseball during the 2023 season, they didn't have it in that World Baseball Classic, but they will have it this time. 15 seconds with the bases empty, 18 seconds with runners on, so nothing we're too unaccustomed to, but glad they're going to add that element in as well, because I don't think I ever want to go back to a world with no pitch clock.
Yeah, especially where some of those pitchers can walk around the mound for, who was the guy that we had? Was it
Yes.
who was the human pitch clock?
He was the worst. All right, so let's.
But yeah, other than that, the U.S. roster obviously is stacked. I think just to kind of put it, to wrap that up, as good as the Dominican Republic is, I think where the U.S. advantage is obviously is the pitching, right? And I think that's why they're absolute studs there between Skubal, Skeen, some guy named Kershaw that we may have heard of, and then Miller, right? David Bednar's on there. I'm looking at it. Joe Ryan, Nolan McLean. I mean, there's some arms there. So I think the U.S. will set itself apart pitching. But if they're not careful, and who knows what season, that Dominican team is going to be ferocious.
Yeah, I mean, they are absolutely stacked. I was going to point out Corbin Carroll had to be removed from the roster because he suffered that hamnet bone injury that's been plaguing a few players. So Roman Anthony replaces Corbin Carroll. I'm excited for that. I think Roman Anthony is a damn good ball player and is going to be one of the future faces of MLB potentially. But just looking at this roster real quick, I'll start with the position players. Cal Raleigh and Will Smith, they'll probably alternate starts. They're both the one and two catchers in baseball in general, in my opinion, anyways. Infield, I mean, you're going to have Bryce Harper be your everyday first baseman. Paul Goldschmidt, your time is kind of up, buddy. You can ride the bench. Gunnar Henderson, I think he's going to be, along with Bobby Witt Jr., both of them didn't really get to play a whole lot in the most recent WBC. I don't even remember if Gunnar Henderson was on it, but I know Bobby Witt Jr. was. But I think they're going to be kind of the breakout WBC guys for Team USA. Mm-hmm. And then along with that, Alex Bregman will probably be the primary third baseman, veteran presence, obviously. Not expecting a whole lot from Ernie Clement or Bryce Terang, but that rounds out the infield. To go with Roman Anthony in the outfield, you've got Byron Buxton, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Aaron Judge. So maybe a little bit of weakness in the outfield overall, with the exception of Aaron Judge, obviously. I mean, you've got one of the best hitters in the sport finally playing for Team USA, but it'll be interesting to see how PCA and Byron Buxton perform in the World Baseball Classic. And then Schwarber will be the DH, which obviously I love that.
Yeah, my pick is Bobby Witt to be the kind of this WBC, but I wouldn't sleep on Schwarber, and has done it over and over again. I think he had some WBC too. So if I had to pick, I'd go with don't sleep on Kyle Schwarber.
Definitely. The pitchers, it's an interesting bunch to say the least. You've got the best of the best. And then you've got some guys where it's like, do you really belong here? But I mean, just going to go down the line. David Bednar out of the bullpen. Matthew Boyd, don't really know how I feel about that. Garrett Clevenger, former Dodger. Clay Holmes, solid as a reliever, but he might be starting. I don't know yet. Griffin Jacks, really good reliever. Brad Keller has emerged as a really good reliever. Clayton Kershaw, it sounds like he's going to probably be a reliever. Noah McLean, breakout starter for the New York Mets. Mason Miller will be nasty. Joe Ryan, stud as a starter. Paul Skeens, Cy Young. Tarek Skubal, Cy Young. Gabe Spire, solid lefty for the Mariners out of the bullpen. Michael Wacha, why are you there? Logan Webb, really good. Gonna put my Giants bias aside. And then Garrett Whitlock, solid reliever. So the only one that I'm questioning with intensity is Michael Wacha. Like, why are you on this team?
Somebody's got to eat some innings.
I guess so. Anything else to add with Team USA? Any strategy or kind of? I know it's a little early right now.
I know you guys were talking to Rosa a couple of podcasts ago, and I was with you on that. Like, let's see what he can put together because he hasn't really earned anything just yet. So I don't know. Let's see. Obviously, there's more strategy in how you deploy your pitchers and when you deploy them and who you need to deploy them against. I don't think game one necessarily means you throw schemes out there. I think it really is going to do with matchups, but as you try to save those guys for some of the more fierce competition later on in the tournament. But let's see. I don't know. It's just going to be fun to see guys representing their countries. And one thing that surprised me listening to Mookie's podcast last year and the year guys that played in it, all of them talked about how much it meant to them and how it almost meant as much as a World Series, the opportunity to represent their home countries. I didn't know that. I kind of brushed it off a little bit, but it really does mean a great deal to these players to represent their country. So they're going to go out there and try to show out, and that's fun for everybody. So tournament.
I agree with that. So more WBC coverage to come as we get closer, but that's the early preview. Honey Oats asking us over or under 95 wins, I guess, for the Dodgers. Well, for now, I would say over. I don't know about over 100 yet, but I think they'll win 95 games. So I'll say over. I think they're going to do that.
I had them around 96, so that puts me at over. Over's over.
Yeah, I haven't really done my true projections yet, but even without Tommy Edman, even without Blake Snell, probably going to see Tyler Glasnow on the IL sooner rather than later. They have a lot of depth, and we're gonna talk about some of these depth moves in just a second. BC asking WBC post-game shows. Yes. The schedule will be coming out soon once we get kind of an idea of how to get this organized. But Ryan already talked about he's going to be at some of the games. I'll be at home, so we'll figure out something. But yes, there will be WBC post-game shows. Stay tuned for that detail. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this. He had to get a job, so I don't blame him. But it's really sad to see Walker Buehler fall to a point in his career where he has to settle for a minor league contract at his age. Like he's not old by any means. He's only 31, and he had to settle for a minor league deal with the San Diego Padres. Now the caveat is he's probably going to make the Padres rotation because it's the Padres rotation. It's basically a mixed collection of a bunch of has-been starters at this point. But Walker Buehler, I don't fault him for going to San Diego. I'm sure there's Dodger fans out there that are calling him a traitor, but I mean, got to be realistic. The Dodgers decided to part ways with him, in my opinion, and for a right reason. He's got 2 Tommy John surgeries. He's washed. He's not been good the last 2 seasons. And honestly, he still thinks he can be a starter. Maybe he proves me wrong, but I think he needs to settle as a relief pitcher like a Daniel Hudson at this point.
Yeah, I will never say anything bad about Walker Buehler. What he did, I will take to my grave. Now, willing his body to find it. One last, whatever. It's a business. This man is fighting for his career. You take whatever deal is out there on the table. I think what's sad is it really speaks to the toll that injuries can take on a person, right? I mean, we thought this guy was going to be in our rotation and a linchpin of that rotation for years, for absolute years. And like you said, he's only 31. It is sad. And it speaks to 2 Tommy Johns, and just sometimes you just don't get it back. Screw Max Scherzer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to root against Walker Buehler. It'll be interesting to see if the Dodgers do face Walker Buehler in a Padres uniform. But I think I have this right. When he was on the Red Sox, I think he kicked our ass. I'm going to double check that.
I don't remember that. I know his stats were pretty good, but I know we didn't see him in the playoffs, right? They didn't even go to him there.
Not
I don't know
not
if
the playoffs. But let me double check. Sometimes everything's up in my head, but I could have sworn he faced us, but maybe I'm tripping. Okay, so he went 4 2/3, gave up 3 runs. I don't know if we won that game. Let me see. Come on, MLB. Yeah, the Red Sox beat us 4-3. So he didn't technically get the win, but I felt like he kicked our ass. So there you go. Dustin May was the loser. What a shock. I was just seeing anything else. Oh. All right. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with Walker Buehler. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button. If you got questions for myself or Ryan, feel free to drop them below in the YouTube chat. We'll get to your guys' questions as we continue to round out the show. Probably got about 15 more minutes left in us fighting a virus right now. So definitely feeling my voice disappearing. But yeah, Walker Buehler to the Padres. Read today that the Astros have interest in Michael Conforto. Don't really know why anyone has interest in Michael Conforto, but I've been saying with confidence all offseason that the best he'll get is a minor league deal. So I think that will be the case for Michael Conforto, who has just looked lost out there. So Tommy Edman officially starting the season on the IL. That's going to leave second base open. You got Miguel Rojas, Hye-Sung Kim, Alex Freeland. So I'll give you the hierarchy. I think it's a lock. Miguel Rojas is probably going to get the most playing time at second base for the Dodgers. I mean, I don't expect Tommy Edman to be out that long to begin with. Maybe a few weeks, maybe a month, whatever. A month of playing time for Miguel Rojas, if he starts 3 or 4 games a week, it's not going to burn him out. He's also at the end of his career and he's a bench player. So what are we even saving him for? Let Miguel Rojas get all the playing time he wants out there. And with Merrill Kelly lined up to start opening day for the Diamondbacks, which was announced by Torey Lovullo, I looked up the stats. Miguel Rojas is hitting .368 with a home run off Merrill Kelly. So it makes a lot of sense to start him on opening day. Not only for the stats purpose, but just, I mean, it's Dave Roberts and nostalgia. I mean, this will be Miguel Rojas's first opportunity to start at Dodger Stadium in what will be his last season and start for the first time in front of the LA fans since hitting that Game 7 home run in Toronto. So I would be very surprised if Dave Roberts denied Miguel Rojas that standing ovation opportunity. So you got Miguel Rojas. I think Hye-Sung Kim is probably the second in this depth chart with Alex Freeland third right now. I think people are continuing to sleep on Kim. I think he's going to revamp his swing. I'm impressed that this guy can do 1,000 push-ups in a day. They interviewed a few Dodgers, and they all said Kim can do the most push-ups. The guy looks yoked. He looks jacked. And I think his versatility puts him ahead of Freeland as well, because he can play all across the infield, but he can also play the outfield. And the Dodgers don't really have that versatile bench left-handed hitting outfielder anymore. And I think they're going to want a guy like Kim to have that ability.
Yeah, okay. So I'll push back a little bit. First off, 100% agree with you. Opening day is Miguel Rojas's. Not only is it his first time back at Dodger Stadium, it's his final opening day. Never has a script been more written for Dave Roberts, who's a script guy. So he's gonna get game 1. He's probably going to get game 2 because that's the ring ceremony. So I can see him playing the first 2. After that third consecutive one, that's where I think Kim is going to get some playing time. So I'm with you up to that point. I do that if Kim comes in and looks really, really, Kim could potentially see the majority of at-bats at second base over Rojas. But that requires Kim looking really, really good early on. And why not? Because early on in the season, let's see what he's got. Let's give him a runway. Let's see what he looks like. What I do know is this. The Dodgers are an incredibly hard team for a young player to crack into, right? To crack that lineup because there's so many established stars in their way. And so it's hard for them to get into the lineup. Here's their chance with as many guys as the Dodgers are slow playing, right? You mentioned Snell. You mentioned probably Glass now at some point. We're talking about second base with Edman. Kiké not being ready. So here is your chance, Kim. Here is your chance, Freeland, to come in and wrestle that position away and not let it go with your performance. This is the way young players have to crack the lineup for the Dodgers. And the start of the season is going to be the opportune time for them to come in and really show it. And if they start off slow, that they may not see the lineup again by the time these other veterans come back and get healthy. So Rojas to start the games 1 and 2, and then let's see what Kim has.
Well, I think Kim's going to play a lot as well, but it's not because of just second base. Mookie, you need a day off? Okay, Kim, you're the shortstop today. Teo, you need a day off? Okay, Kim, you're the left fielder today. Kyle Tucker, maybe you need a day off. Okay, Kim, you're in center. Paz, you're in right. I think they're going to really try to weaponize Kim's versatility and kind of be that plant guy to give guys the off day. They don't have what they used to have, which was that CT3 and prime Kiké Hernandez, where you got these trusted, solid utility bench players that could play a lot because they were talented, and they allowed the Dodgers to rest guys. Now with Kiké being hurt and old, Taylor's Taylor's been released and he's on the Angels now on a minor league deal. They haven't really found those replacements in-house. And my hesitation with Alex Freeland is he can't play the outfield. Maybe he can get it done in the infield, but he still has a lot to prove. Kim, still a question mark as well. He showed a hot spurt and then fizzled out, but I do think he'll rebound, and I do think he has the best chance at being that next super utility guy. And then you got Alex Call, but he can't play the infield. And then I guess if Ryan Ward just goes nuclear this spring, what do you do with him? That would be an interesting wild card. So we'll see how that plays out, because what's interesting about Ryan Ward is that he's used to hitting minor league pitching, and what you see a lot in spring training is minor league pitching. So it wouldn't shock me at all if he gets the playing time. If he gets the playing time, that Ryan Ward leads the Dodgers in spring training home runs like a James Outman used to do.
Yeah, I still think if we were going to see him, we would have seen him last year. We had ample opportunity to bring him up. He was I think PCL player of the year. He was crushing balls in the PCL, and he didn't even, merit the Dodgers' interest. So I wish him the best. I hope he goes somewhere where he gets some playing time. Zach McKinstry has turned into a pretty solid player for the Tigers. I hope that, Ryan Ward can go somewhere and find a little bit of runway, but I don't think it'll be with us. I really don't. Right. But good call on the spring training, though. I could see him being a standout and kind of looking like fool's gold out there.
Other noteworthy news. He went from being ready for opening day to now he's going to be on the injured list yet again. Brusdar Graterol, a.k.a. the Easter Bunny, was confirmed that he will start the season on the IL. I expect him to be moved to the 60-day IL fairly quickly, if I'm being quite frank. Over the last 2 seasons now, Graterol didn't even appear in 2025. He pitched just 7.1 innings in 2024. So a 7 1/3 innings over the last 2 years. So when Gratterall pitches, he's actually really good. He really had his best season in 2023, I guess. I mean, he had a 120 ERA over 67 innings. I mean, he was immaculate, but then he got hurt, and we just haven't seen much of him since. But overall, his Dodgers career, he's been a very successful reliever. I mean, 5 seasons and 269 ERA. But now with him being hurt yet again, it's hard to have high expectations for Gratterall. I think we'll be lucky if we see probably 25 innings out of him this season. And they're probably going to slow play him and just hope that he's back for the second half and for the playoffs. But with that being said, and then we also have to factor in Blake Snell being on the IL, and we'll talk about Justin Wrobleski in a second, but it sounds like there will be a couple openings in the bullpen. Who do you think steps up, Ryan, for the Dodgers and implements themselves into the pen for the Dodgers?
I want to believe Will Klein. He looked sharp before the World Series kind of breakout. And then, of course, he had that legendary moment. And like a really nice guy. So I really want to I think what's his name? Eduardo. What am I? Henriquez, I think. Yeah. I think he is primed. I do. I think he's primed to come in and be a force bullpen wise. So I don't know. I'm looking at those two. Not sure where River. I don't know what the plan is for River Ryan for that 6th spot or not, but always a potential there if room as a starter. I think they want to see him as a starter though. But real overall thing, it's like with Gratterall, it's like the meme of Pam from The Office, right? If I show you a picture of Gratterall and Danny Duffy, and you're like, they're the same picture. Shout out to Danny Duffy, who never appeared for us, and we kept hoping that trade. But those are my bullpen picks, I think.
Yeah, no, Will Klein. I think he's going to emerge and crack the opening day roster for the Dodgers. I think it'll probably be Will Klein and Ben Kasparius. Those are probably my 2 guesses. So you got Gratterall going to the IL. It only makes sense that with Blake Snell expected to start the season on the IL, you're going to want to move a lefty into the rotation, and that's Justin Wrobleski. And so they talked about it all off season long where they want to keep Wrobleski stretched out to an extent so that they could work him in as a starter when needed. And so he's going to be needed for the first part of the season. So I think he'll be stretched out during this spring. Don't know how far into games he'll pitch, but I do believe that Wrobleski will get the nod or the first opportunity to be the 5th or 6th guy in the Dodgers rotation. So I feel pretty confident about that for Wrobleski. I don't think they want to rush River Ryan into the fire. I don't think they want to rush Gavin Stone into the fire. I still think we need to see a lot from Kyle Hurt to know where he's at for opening day. I think they'd want him to probably pitch the minors as he works himself back as well. And so Kasparius, I think he should be refreshed, revamped, and he'll probably want to redeem himself after kind of a drop-off. And Will Klein, for all the reasons you pointed out, he looks like a new pitcher out there. That last time they called him up heading into the World Series, he just looked confident. He had control, commands. I think he's going to be a breakout reliever for the Dodgers.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a good guy to root for with all that. And I'm also, I don't know what the word is on him and how slow they're kind of going to ramp him up. But if you recall, he was a guy who pitches and he came back like with 74 more pitches that he learned in the offseason and looked effective using those pitches until he got. So I'm super excited whenever that time comes.
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing I wanted to just cover quickly, and then we'll see if there's any questions and anything else you want to talk about, Ryan. He admitted it. We called him out for all last season, and they continued to downplay it. But Teoscar Hernandez finally admitted he was basically playing with a groin injury all season. Well, all season after that injury occurred in, I think, late May or whatever. But he was absolutely on fire. Then he went on the IL with the groin injury. It felt like they had rushed him back, to be honest. And then we saw it with the defense. He was just jogging out there. He just looked a lot gingerly. His plate discipline wasn't the same. So Fabian Ardaya of The Athletic got Teoscar to admit it, but he was playing hurt most of last season. So look into this season real quick. He said he's dropped about 12 pounds. He feels like he's in great shape, and I'm on the Teo train. I think a huge bounce back redemption season is coming.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for understanding that he was hurt with a groin injury, because we don't know what the team told him in terms of how hard to hustle to a ball or not, because if he does and then he goes ahead and that pull turns into a tear, then we don't have his bat, right? So there might have been some talk, for all we know, serve yourself. Maybe there wasn't talk, but maybe that was just his internal thought process that into a tear, and then once again, then he's done, right? So, I think he was doing his best to manage that. And when you're already not great at defense, and then you have that happen to you, you look really bad at defense. I have a lot of forgiveness for him, just for the way his bat kept coming through over and over again in the playoffs and in the clutch. So right there with you. I never thought it made sense for Dodger fans to be putting his name out there in terms of trades. That guy's proven that he can hit when it matters. So big Teo fan here, and I think he'll have a big bounce back year.
All right. Appreciate you hopping on, Ryan. Anything else you want to cover before we get on out of here?
Yeah, two things. I got really excited this morning on MLB Hot Stove. Tom Verducci was on there, and he was talking about Dodgers camp, and he was talking about how good Roki Sasaki is looking, and his fastball was sitting at 98 miles an hour. And he said that Roki Sasaki has been working on a couple of other pitches, a cutter, I think, and I can't remember what the other pitch was, but essentially expanding from 2 pitches to 4. Last I had heard, he was having trouble learning a third, but now we're saying he's there and he's throwing 4 and he's looking really good. Verducci said the Dodgers are the plan is Roki Sasaki is a full go for a starter. That's the plan. It's been confirmed. And that he's just been very early. Obviously, he's only thrown, I think, 1 bullpen, but it's really, really impressed. So that gets me really excited for what this kid can be, because let's face it, I mean, he has a lot of the accolades, but show me something, right? Until you actually go out there and do it consistently and not roll kind of from inning to inning, I'm gonna reserve judgment, but. There's a lot to be excited about Roki Sasaki.
Yeah.
So there was that. And I also want to bring back, Kevin, with your permission. Years ago, you guys used to do an out, and I thought,
yeah,
that's a great thing. I have one, and I'm not going to rant. My out of left field rant is this. I think you can measure the degradation by how rude people have become at the grocery store. I don't know if it's like that for people out there on the West Coast. Once again, for the listeners, I'm out in Texas. But I get to the grocery store, and I have people essentially playing chicken with me with their baskets. They refuse to move out of the way, will run you over. Even people who don't have baskets, Walking Dead out there, or Mad Max or something, and I'm Rick Grimes. We live now. They've gotten ruder in my mind. I finally have decided I'm going to be the one that stops moving. Crashed into 2 people already since I've done this, and then I realize now. So now I'm one of the Walking Dead out there, just refusing to move my basket. But have you experienced this at the grocery store? I mean, how have people become this rude, self-absorbed? And I'll tell you one other thing too: the grocery store workers who were there shopping for the mobile orders are the worst. They're the most entitled. They think they have carte blanche to go wherever they want with these gigantic, and will blow you over if you're within 2 feet of them. So let me know if that's the case out there on the West Coast, or if this is a weird Texas thing, or what it. I'm curious what the viewers and listeners have to say. That's my out of left field rant. Throwback to the good old days.
Yeah, we'll have to bring that back. Actual in-store encounters at the grocery store, I don't recall any awkward or rude moments off the top of my head. But I will say, grocery store parking lots that are indoors, not outdoor, but indoor parking lots, absolute nightmare. Like almost every time I feel like something bad is going to happen. That's where the hostility really takes place. It's like people get so angry if you're trying to both go for the same parking spot. And that there are scenarios where that can happen if the parking lot has like multi-direction or multiple entries and you're like, oh shit, we're both going for the same spot. It's also just a nightmare in general in a parking garage. If you're pulling in and now this one car is holding up the line because they wait for this grandma who's about to get into her car, but she's taking her sweet ass time unloading all the groceries for her basket to her car. Then she's going to sit in the car for like 3 minutes and we don't know what's going on. Next thing you know, 5 minutes go by and finally that car gets to park. And you when it's all said and done, maybe 10 minutes of your time got wasted because you're just trying to park.
Well, it sounds like it's outside over there, it's inside over here. So God, I hope they never combine forces and the entire experience becomes a nightmare. But it is no joke when you go in there, and they'll walk visible. I don't know what's going on, but that's what I've got. That's my final thought for tonight. So I don't know. Let that sit with you.
Thank you for that. Well, thank you guys for listening to the Incline Dodgers podcast. My voice is completely shot. Hopefully it's back by next week. But if you're listening on the audio feeds, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Go Dodgers.